So now I'm about to depart on a historic visit. Some of you are going with us. We've helped all of those countries, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and others. We keep them safe. If it wasn't for us, they probably wouldn't exist right now.
Yeah, well, that's true of France and Great Britain and most of the countries of the world, for that matter, depending on how far back you want to go. And now, the Saudi Arabian military marching band trying to play the national anthem of the United States of America. It's recognizable. They look good doing it, too. Have you seen these guys? Listen in. Take it away, baby. Shukran. There's a little thank you in Arabic. There we go. Maybe Chunk Todd is in there on the sousaphone. They're trying hard. That drummer's going to show the video to his mom. That's me, Mom. And somebody's got a horn problem. President Trump invented a new word. It's excruciating. Excruciating. That was a Saudi military marching band looking sharp. They weren't good enough to be combatants. And the Saudi military, you know the slogan of the Saudi military, don't you? Never leave your buddies behind. Never leave your buddies behind. But it doesn't mean what you think it means. It means something else altogether. That the Saudis. You see, President Trump in Saudi Arabia, a fun country, an interesting country, a very different country. Some cultures are, well, not exactly like our culture, and Saudi Arabia would be one of those. They did bring in, for President Trump's visit, they brought in a mobile McDonald's. Did you see this? It's a McDonald's restaurant in an 18-wheeler. It's a big, I'm not making this up, it's true. They brought in a tractor-trailer-sized McDonald's restaurant and said, President Trump likes McDonald's. We have a McDonald's in a truck. Let's bring in the McDonald's on a truck. And there it is, an 18-wheeler with a big old tractor-trailer cab and an 18-wheeler trailer. It's brown. It's got the golden arches and McDonald's on it, a couple of staircases going up and down. And it's a very thoughtful gift because President Trump, he likes burgers and stuff. So they brought in the rolling McDonald's. Yes, they did. And we love their marching band. We're very thankful that they've got a marching band to play the national anthem. If they played their own anthem like that, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed might have to chop them up and serve them in the McDonald's, the rolling McDonald's truck. Chop, chop, fizz, fizz. You know, when they say chop, chop and they want you to hurry, you hurry because they mean chop, chop. And they mean never leave your buddies behind. See, what is that? What is that about? Never leave your buddies behind. There is an interesting story from the left-wing radicals at Mediaite. Before I get to the Democrats, they should be in prison, really. They trying to rescue MS-13 gang members and so on. But here's the left-wing radicals at Mediaite. And they have Joe DiPaolo, typing on behalf of the left at Mediaite. The headline is, in quotation marks, "He totally beeped us." That's the F word. That's the headline. "He totally beeped us," in quotation marks. Top Harris campaign aide torches Biden in blockbuster book preview. He's trying to sell books, so he's cursing up a storm over there. But here we go. Former President Joe Biden totally beeped us, a top Kamala Harris campaign aide alleges in an explosive preview of a highly anticipated new book. In an article published by The Guardian late on Monday, which contained a preview of the upcoming book Original Sin, they love their colons. President Biden's decline, its cover-up, and his dangerous choice to run again by Jake Tapper. Oh, this is almost hilarious that Jake Tapper is in on this is part of the cover-up. And they come out and they feign shock that, hey, wait a minute, we didn't know Joe Biden's brain was failing. We didn't know his brain was a no good, that she's a broke. We know nothing. Everybody out here knew it, but the news media in Washington didn't know. And wait, it gets better. They say that Biden's inner circle, his cabinet, didn't know it. And Jill Biden, she barely knew it. These are incredibly dumb people. This is the problem we have. But here we go. The Jake Tapper's book, top Harris advisor, David Plouffe. They leave out that he also got Barack Obama elected twice and that he was in the Obama White House for 8 years. But they say he's a top Harris advisor. David Plouffe described the truncated 107-day 2024 presidential campaign as a beeping nightmare. The same word again. Everybody likes the F word these days. So it's a beeping nightmare. And Plouffe pointed the finger squarely at the former president. It's all Biden, Plouffe said. He totally beeped us. Plouffe was one of roughly 200 people Tapper and Thompson spoke with for their book, a tome which many expect to send shockwaves through Washington. You know, it is the biggest lie. This is, like their boy Hitler said with the Socialist Workers' Party. They're all Hitler. They're all Hitler now. Make the lie so big that no one would dare not believe it. That is, it's a propaganda rule from Joseph Goebbels, who, of course, the Reverend Al Sharpton admires very much.
Did I hear you correctly say that perhaps he was influenced by Goebbels?
It might have been Goebbels that influenced him here. So it's so they talked to allegedly 200 people, and Plouffe went fully on the records. It says on the records. They don't know what they use the words, but they don't know what they mean. That's on the record. It's not how many records can you be on, you dimwits. Like Plouffe went fully on the records. Others, such as one unnamed person identified as a senior White House aide, were granted anonymity to deliver candid assessments, naturally, of the president's cognitive state. The aide told Tapper and Thompson, quote, "We attempted to shield Biden from his own staff, so many people didn't realize the extent of the decline beginning in 2023. I love Joe Biden," the anonymous aide said. "When it comes to decency, there are few in politics like him, except for that sniffing and touching the children and Tara Reid, who had to flee the country so terrified of and the decency. And then, of course, getting the prosecutor fired in Ukraine who was investigating corruption at Burisma while Burisma was paying the Biden family $1 million a year, and a close friend of Hunter Biden $1 million a year for no-show jobs. Yeah, the decency. And then he lied to us about Hunter Biden doing business deals in China with the communists when he flew over there on Air Force Two, and never mind that. Yeah, we attempted to shield Biden from his own staff. So many people didn't realize the extent. His own staff didn't realize that his brain was blinking. How dumb are these people? And David Plouffe, very, very funny. I just love Joe Biden. Few in politics like him. A source identified as a prominent Democratic strategist added that Biden's determination to seek re-election was an abomination. It's an abomination. It's an abomination. He stole the election from the Democratic Party, the strategist said. He stole it from the American people. You guys really need mental help. You honestly do. And here's what Jake Tapper and this other guy are attempting to sell. They're attempting to sell the idea that the White House staff and his cabinet didn't know that he was demented. And we were laughing about this in the morning meeting, and Bill Hess, the program director at WMAL, and Michael Piercy sitting across from me and I were sitting in the pre-show, and we were talking about this story and mocking the idea. It's like, Joe Biden didn't know that he was demented, and his cabinet didn't know that he was demented. The White House staff didn't know that his brain, she's a broke, his brain, she's a no good, that brain of his. They didn't know, but all of us out here, we knew. And Jake Tapper didn't know. How could he know? Low IQ theater. Isn't that amazing? And they're going to expect that everyone's going to believe this. That sounds like a great idea. And in the media, this all works because they know that the lie lives and breathes. It's the everyday lie. Isn't that amazing? Yes, sir. Yeah, so the book's coming out, and Jake Tapper is going to try to sell us on the idea that he didn't know Joe Biden. For how long was I was saying a year and a half before the election that Joe Biden would not be the nominee on Election Day. A year and a half before. We have audio of me saying a year and a half before that Joe Biden would not be the nominee, and that's because his brain, she's a no good, she's a broke. I made that clear ages before he dropped out. Just amazing, amazing stuff. Yes, sir. Jake Tapper went to Dartmouth College. Dartmouth is on the phone, Jake. They'd like their diploma back. They think that a lie that big, even Goebbels wouldn't believe. But that's what they're selling, that nobody in the White House knew that. All right, now we've got Democrats, those crazy, rascally Democrats. They, once again, they went to the detention center in New Jersey, which we now know 75% of the illegal alien detainees, 75% are felons, according to the Department of Homeland Security. And the Democrats are out there banging on the doors and trying to get everybody. Well, they want to break all the illegal alien criminals out and bring them home to date their daughters because the Democrat Party is mentally unwell. And we have audio for you on this because they went back yesterday and, well, you may recall the other day, number one, this was Saturday. We played the audio yesterday. Democrat members of Congress violently assaulting federal law enforcement officers. It's January 6th all over again. Just amazing. And we've got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You know her? The Democrats speaking of wanting to date, they want to take her to the hot tub, don't they? And they want to run her for president. She's fighting the oligarchy or something. And she thinks it's a lizard. She thinks that the oligarchy is a lizard. AOC posted a video of herself demonstrating her lack of intelligence once again.
If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson-Coleman, on Representative or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem.
Ooh, we're going to have a problem. What, are you going to stop tending bar on Capitol Hill? That's terrible. Are you going to get a lime instead of a lemon with your vodka rocks? That she should still be a bartender. I'll bet $1 she was not a good bartender at all. That's her Democrat Party. But wait, because I've got more for you. They went back yesterday. The lunatic Democrats showed up with fake church people, and they've got, again, what is it, more than 75% of the detainees there are felons, identified as felons, including child rapists back home in the country that they fled, where they're wanted by the police for being child rapists. The Democrat Party. Hey, are you a yo-yo dieter? You know what that means. You lose weight, then you gain it all back again, plus a couple of extra pounds. Breaking free of your yo-yo diet pattern, one of the primary reasons that doctors created Lean. Lean, brought to you by Brickhouse Nutrition. It's a supplement. It's not an injection, and you don't need a prescription. My best girl makes me a glass, stirs me up a glass of green stuff every morning, and I really like it. It gives me energy. It feels great. Lean targets weight loss. I'm not even looking to lose weight in 3 powerful ways. It helps you maintain healthy blood sugar levels. It helps control appetite and cravings. And it helps you burn fat by converting fat into energy. Listen, if you're tired of losing weight and getting it all back again, Lean was created with you in mind. And let me get you started, because I'm your pal, with 20% off when you enter PLANT20 at TakeLean.com. That's the code PLANT20 at TakeLean.com. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. It is not a substitute or alternative for care from a healthcare provider. Yeah, the Democrats, they went back yesterday to the detention center because they love criminals and they love crime. Problem has never been our guns. It's always been their sons. And I have the audio for you of the lunatics. You know, they're singing again. They started singing again. And then, well, the fire hoses had to come out.
We have some bad hombres here, and we're going to get them out.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. All right, I've got the latest Democrat melee at the illegal alien criminal detention center. The Democrats love illegal alien criminals best. But there's another funny story that the media is very angry about. White House Correspondents Association rages as Trump excludes major news wire services from Middle East trip. That's a lie. They're not excluded from the Middle East trip. They just weren't on Air Force One for the flight over to Saudi Arabia. The White House Correspondents Association torched the Trump administration Monday for cutting out 3 of the biggest news wire services from President Donald Trump's flight to the Middle East. They believe they're entitled to be on Air Force One every time he goes. In a sharply worded statement, the White House Correspondents Association said it was disturbed that reporters from the Associated Press, Reuters, and Bloomberg News were not allowed by Air Force One. They weren't allowed on Air Force One for the high-stakes overseas trip. The move, they argue, threatens public access to crucial independent reporting on foreign policy. Now, that's not true because they're inviting other news organizations to be on Air Force One. But they believe that they've got an exclusive on all this because they've grown accustomed to it. And they say this is exclusion. It comes after the White House seized control of the press rotation. The White House spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, dismissed their phony outrage, insisting the new briefing room and Air Force One arrangement is about inclusion. They say, no, it's exclusion. They say, no, it's inclusion. And by the way, they're on the press plane flying over next to Air Force One, where they say, wheels up, rings off. We're going to get to the next crazy Democrats advocating for MS-13 and Tren de Aragua, foreign gangs, child rapists, murderers, human traffickers, drug traffickers, and the Democrats want to give them hot oil massages. Elected Democrats, members of Congress and things. And I see there is a nice lady on the big board on the line who wants to talk about these rascally Democrats. Let's go to Rachel, calling from Clark County, Virginia. Rachel, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hello, Chris. At this point, I'm just going to call you my friend. I will go ahead and brag about that.
You should.
So a few things. Did these Democrats, does anybody remember when Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz went down to the prisons to try to check on the J6ers? Do you remember the absolute outrage of the Democrats for what they did to check on American citizens? And then here we are with them doing this for non-American criminal citizens. It tells you everything you need to know. One. Number two, real quick, you had a caller who was talking about David Hogg and how he has done nothing. He did. Do you remember when he tried to outsmart the My Pillow guy?
Mike Lindell. David Hogg tried to outsmart Mike Lindell.
Yeah, he tried to make his own pillow company to get rid of the My Pillow company.
Oh, you're right about that. Yeah, I had forgotten all about that. That's funny. Yes, go ahead.
That?
Yeah.
Right? And as far as the plane goes, they can take that plane and start using it to transport all these illegals back home. How about that?
You are great. You should be working in the White House. That's wonderful. Take the plane from Qatar, not as Air Force.
Anytime, Chris.
That is just wonderful. Take the 747 from Qatar, and it is a very luxurious airplane. I mean, the inside is nicer than any place I've ever lived, and you could just fly illegal aliens back to whatever beeple country they fled using the Qatari airplane. And the Democrats couldn't complain that they weren't being transported in the lap of luxury because it's a Qatari billionaire, his private plane right now. That is really fun. And David Hogg, you came loaded for bear.
Yes, I always do.
I always do. That is what a great response. And that's wonderful. And you're right. Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene went to the Democrats had thrown January 6 protesters, a lot of military veterans. And of course, they shot and they killed a 12-year veteran of the United States Air Force, Ashley Babbitt. And they gave the police officer awards for it. And, they would riot because George Floyd died of cardiac failure while resisting arrest, a career criminal and junkie. But when a police officer shoots and kills Ashley Babbitt, a 12-year Air Force veteran, for the alleged crime of trespassing, then they applauded that, gave him awards, gave him medals, gave him a pay raise, gave him a promotion, gave him a parade. They got to put a statue up to him inside the Capitol. And you're right. And they had people in solitary confinement, Rachel, in the D.C. jail with no access to lawyers. And when Congressman Matt Gaetz, who I met a few times and was a ton of fun, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they went to check on the welfare of these Americans in jail. And you're right, the Democrats went bat guano insane once again.
It's always hypocrisy. It really is. The truth is, whatever they claim us to be doing, they're doing that. I swear they have red Mein Kampf, and they have secret meeting societies where they read Mein Kampf and put it all out into play, because that's what they're doing. It's Hitler's playbook.
And
exactly what it is. And their hypocrisy is stunning.
There it is. There is an old saying about that, Rachel, and is were it not for double standards, liberals would have no standards at all. And everything
I hear that line from you all the time.
Everything they do is hypocritical. Everything is double standards. And we had that dimwit from the Obama administration testifying on Capitol Hill who explained the Russian playbook, and she was really talking about the Soviet playbook, and that is that whatever they're accusing you of doing, it is what they are doing themselves. And that was good old, what's her name? Victoria Nuland, of course.
It is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
Yes. And Rachel, that's what we see them doing every day, isn't it?
And we see where it stands. And if nobody can see that, then we know what side you're on. And if Jill Biden, and as far as Biden's mental decline goes, if his own wife didn't see it, but we did, why was she sitting in on cabinet meetings? Why is she sitting with him and answering questions when he, anyways?
Right.
That's BS, and we all know it.
It's BS, and we all know it, right? And you see right through it because, here's the thing, Rachel. You're normal,
From conservative standards, yes.
Yeah, you're a normal person. Your brain functions properly as designed by God. You're an intelligent person. You're a serious person, and you obviously have a sense of humor too.
Oh, absolutely. Well, listening to you definitely helps.
I'm happy to hear that because, what's not funny about all this?
It's always an honor to talk to you, Chris.
Well, you're wonderful, Rachel. Thank you. Thank you for that. And you know what we're going to do now? The latest act of hypocrisy and absurdity by the Democrat Party. And I'm going to play the audio of yesterday's melee. And this is in honor of you, Rachel.
I love it. I could call you every day with hypocrisy. I pretty much do. Every time I talk to you, it's always something that's hypocritical of a point that I bring up. So I'm honored. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. I'm the honored one here. And now we're going to go to the lunatics, the latest example of lunacy. Just amazing. What ridiculous people the Democrat Party has they've taken over the Democrat Party, and they are just nuts. And they got AOC slams Ice Barbie, and they're attacking the Attorney General of the United States as Ice Barbie, and they're attacking everybody. Trump border czar over the mayor, the Democrat radical mayor's arrest, his tax evading wife, and his whole family that gets murdered, and he's out there. I mean, these people are not the people you want to be hanging out with. But Monday protest outside Newark ICE facility descends into chaos. Arrests made. And this is, again, yesterday we were sharing with you the Saturday melee that Democrat members of Congress started by, and then they blame the cops. They go and attack the cops and run and crash into them, and it's the first time that this Democrat member of Congress ran in her life, I think, and she just did it to crash into federal law enforcement with her head. Agitators clash with police. Arrests made as clergy members descend on Newark ICE facility, Newark, New Jersey, the city that never sweeps. Another Democrat city that never sweeps. Democrats stormed Delaney Hall last week, and then they attacked again yesterday. Dozens of members of clergy. Now, these are radical left-wing extremist fake clergy people. A couple of them wearing Hamas headdresses around their necks. Dozens of clergy members protested outside an ICE facility in Newark, New Jersey, which the Department of Homeland Security says is holding a group of criminals, more than 75% of which are felons, right? More than 75%. 75% plus, they say. But that happened yesterday on Monday, the so-called clergy saying they would continue to block the gates accessing the facility until they are arrested. Again, I bring in one of those fire trucks from the airport with the water cannon on the roof, and I'd foam them up and then put the tie wraps on them and probably send them to El Salvador aboard that Qatari jet. That's a great idea. That's fun. The group is composed of roughly 50 clergy members from, listen to this, two organizations, Faith in New Jersey, I think you need it, and Faith in Action, two radical left-wing groups. They linked arms outside the main gate of Delaney Hall Detention Center as they chanted and, what else did they do, Michael? Sang songs. They sang songs. They're not good at it, but they sang songs. I saw the video. It's a tour of the interior of the facility. It's nicer than your average Hyatt hotel. It looks very, very nice. These conference rooms where your family can come and hang out. They've got a soccer field, and there are a bunch of criminals out there kicking the soccer ball around there. Kick the ball. And the Democrats just want to break them out of jail because they're mentally ill. Several speakers also said prayers, not recognizable as actual prayers, for the inmates inside the facility. And they condemned their detention. They want all criminals freed, all illegal alien criminal gang members covered with tattoos on their faces identifying their gangs. They want them all freed. And they want them to give them machetes, too, because, they love. It was MS-13 guys. They murdered, what was it, a 16-year-old girl, her body found along the Potomac River, and they chopped her hands off. And that's how the police, with machetes. And that's how the police knew it was MS-13, because they like to use machetes to chop the hands off. And the Democrats are out there, send more of this. Date my daughter. Come, honestly, live in my attic. You people. The clergy members said they have volunteered to be arrested and that they will attempt to enter the ICE facility. This is the Democrat Party. All right, so we go, starts at soundbite number five. Yesterday, the nuts came out, and they're at the criminal facility.
Put 1 foot in front of the other.
1 foot from the other. Put 1 foot in front. They're so bad that we can't. Michael and I sing better than this, and we've never actually sung together. But I know that if we tried, we would. That is that, and they're out and they're clapping with this clapping stuff, and they're 1 foot in front of the other. Severe brain damage, and then they're singing, and they're attacking the police at this point. They're calling the police fascists, and they're cursing at them. because they're clergy, but they're Democrat clergy.
Fascism's got to go. Got to go. We say no. We say no. We say no. We say no. Fascism's got to go. Don't try to...
I think they just wrote that on the spot, I think, didn't they? Fascism's got to go. Where's with the fascist gang members who torture and rape and murder? Is that what we're talking about here? The Democrat Party is very, very mentally ill. An ambulance was turned away from entering the gated area that the protesters were blocking on Monday because authorities feared the protesters might rush in if the gates were open to let an ambulance in. Very sadly, the gang member died. He choked to death on a root vegetable. I didn't really. I just made that part up. But they're not letting the ambulance in because they're righteous. And if the communist gang member, fascist, baby killer, human trafficker, if died, then they would blame the police because that's what they do. And they're singing, and then there's an enormously morbidly obese liberal attacked the police and called. We had to beep it out because these members of the clergy are cursing and using foul language and calling the police Nazi piece of beep.
Yeah, what does it cost? How much does it cost to be a Nazi? A Nazi piece of
Yeah, sure. As one of the protesters told Fox News that nobody called the ambulance, said it was just a tactic to get them to move. Well, no, but nice brain you've got there. A little tiny squirrel brain. Aren't they wonderful? Just great. And then they're crashing into the police and they're attacking. You should get the fire hose from the water cannon truck from the airport, and then tasers once you're good and wet. Get tasered because then it goes all over your body, and pepper spray too, and then get the. Well, that's after you put on the tie wraps because that's the Democrats.
I'm not touching it.
Sorry.
It's the clergy. And why are they? And again. Oh, no, what are you doing? And it's around 5 p.m., events began to flare up as employees of the facility attempted to drive out of the gated area to go home at the end of the day. Police moved protesters out of the way, though the protesters resisted and they opposed, and there at least 2 protesters were arrested by Newark police, and sadly they died in custody. It was tragic, truly tragic. And Rachel was right. Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene went to visit the January 6 prisoners in jail, and the Democrats all went berserk because of their mental issues. You know that when a mother with an unplanned pregnancy is deciding what to do about her future and the future of her unborn child, it can be overwhelming. She wants to make the right choice, of course, but society and those around her are telling her that the baby growing inside her is not a human life. You know who I'm talking about? Preborn. Preborn's whole ministry, a wonderful ministry called Preborn. Their ministry is dedicated to loving these women and to empowering them with the choice of life. And it's an eternal moment. Now, Stephanie, a young woman, felt that she didn't deserve love and support when she arrived. And after visiting the Preborn clinic, she experienced her eternal moment when she saw her child on ultrasound growing inside of her. She left the clinic feeling hopeful and how blessed she is by her now 5-year-old son. When you support Preborn, they're supporting life-affirming clinics nationwide, life-affirming choices by mothers with free ultrasounds to help empower the mother to choose life. Your tax-deductible donation of $28 monthly is reaching eternity. So Get involved. And all you have to do to get involved is dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby when you're prompted to do so. Dial pound 250, the keyword is baby. Or visit on Al Gore's amazing internet, preborn.com/plant. That's me, preborn.com/PLANTE. Yes, sir. Yeah, the Democrats, they love crime. They love the criminals. They love the sinners. Every cop is a criminal and all the sinners saints. You know, guys, that's just a song lyric from a Rolling Stone song. You don't have to live that. It's not really true. All the cops are not criminals and all the sinners are not saints, but you are all mental.
Fascism's got to go. Got to go. We say no. We say no. We say no. We say no.
Yeah, the members of the clergy in New Jersey injured one police officer, a minor laceration to the arm during the incident. Just, the clergy, they brought their knives with them. Pretty amazing. Democrats, a violent outfit, those Democrats. Yeah, and I mentioned my friend Brian texted me about it. I said that, they're complaining, the White House Correspondents Association, that a couple of the wire services were not invited on Air Force One, but they traveled the press plane. The White House Press Corps charters an airplane that goes around wherever Air Force One goes, because you can't put the whole White House Press Corps on Air Force One every time they go. They have a small pool. They pool their resources, put them on the Air Force One. But they're like, no, I get to go every time. And the White House says, no, you don't. No, you don't. But you go on the press plane, and I mentioned there's a slogan on the White House press plane, and the slogan is "Wheels up, rings off." Right? Wheels up, rings off. So in the plane, the press plane takes off, the White House press cardboard, the wedding rings come off, and you're on the road. And then there's another saying, "What goes on the road stays on the road." You probably heard that one too. Yes, sir. And also, the New York Times is very angry. They're very angry. Tariffs is the New York Times headline today. Tariffs drive Honda, the company Honda, to move SUV production from Canada to U.S. Well, that's exactly what it's designed to do. The New York Times is angry, and now they're standing up for Canada.